Prior relations between law enforcement and many communities have often left a lot to be desired. In 2016, Sarasota County Sheriff Tom Knight sought to change the paradigm when he introduced the Rightful Policing Initiative to his department. He says there are 5 universal truths in rightful policing. 1, all people want to be treated with dignity and respect. 2, all people want to be asked rather than being told to do something. 3, all people want to be told why they are being asked to do something. 4, all people want to be given options rather than threats or ultimatums. And 5, all want a second chance. Today's guests, Sarasota County Sheriff Tom Knight and Sarasota Military Academy Senior Al Muta LaHawks, Sarasota County Boys and Girls Club's Youth of the Year. Sheriff, it's good to see you again.
Good morning.
We're going to talk about something that you first told us going back about a year ago. This time, your policing policy, a new policing strategy that you had.
Correct.
And since that time, the Sarasota County Boys and Girls Club that you've been involved with, and they brought this fine young man that you brought with you today, Mr. Hawks, Al Muta Hawks. Tell me, how did you get involved with the Sheriff's Project?
At the Boys and Girls Club, I'm part of a Keystone group, and Keystone is a teen leadership program run by Teens for Teens. This year, I'm the opportunity to be the president of that group. And every year, BGCA, Boys and Girls Clubs of America, they send all the charter Boys and Girls Clubs nationwide a national project for the Keystone Group to complete. And this year, it was dialogue with our law enforcement. And 2 months before we got that project to do, me and another member from the Boys and Girls Club, Fatima Dimlak, we attended one of their first rifle policing strategies, and we thought it went hand in hand with the national.
First what?
Their first rifle policing strategy, and we thought it went hand in hand with our national Keystone project, and we just took it by hand, and we wanted to achieve it and do it, and we thought this was the right way, and we wanted to take this project and show it in front of thousands of teens at our Keystone conference in Chicago, and hopefully it will just become a snowball effect, and it will just change the point of views of America's vision on law enforcement.
So you're going to be competing, your project will be competing with boys and girls clubs all over the country.
Correct.
And abroad, I understand.
Yes, sir. We have Boys and Girls Clubs in Europe, Japan, Asia. That was Japan, but yeah.
Well, Sheriff, you know, one of the issues we've always had is attitudes of young folk about what they believe law enforcement to be, and this seems like the ideal project.
We did, and Dr. James, I think referring back to some of the programs I've been on with you, is that a lot of our conversations that you stimulated is that I made a commitment that the Sheriff's Office could become more involved with our youth and our communities, and we need to find the right program, we need to find the right partnership to do that with. Our rightful policing strategies that we started training our deputies in over 2 years ago now, but we wanted to find the right group of youth, and it was right here with the Boys and Girls Club, and so it's been a great partnership. Al does a great job, he's a great leader, and I think hopefully we're hoping it's a model for law enforcement and the re-imaging of law enforcement and how we interact in communities, especially with our youth for the future. It's important to us.
We have something that we're going to look at a little later on, but first, you're a senior. You're graduating from Sarasota Military Academy.
Yes, sir.
Now, by this time of year, most seniors have a pretty good idea of where they'll be going to school. What about you?
Through the Boys and Girls Club, they have an endowment with the Gussons.
With the who?
The Gussons. It's a a family, a Suriname female,
Oh, okay.
Dr. Gussens, with the Duquesne University in Pittsburgh. And I've been given the opportunity on a full-ride scholarship to Duquesne University.
So you're going to continue representing Sarasota in Sarasota's youth,
Correct. Yes, sir.
all the way in Pittsburgh.
Yes, sir. Thanks to the Boys and Girls Club.
How long have you been a member of the Boys and Girls Club?
I've been attending the Boys and Girls Club since I was 6 years old. I'm 18 years old now, so it's been a lifetime.
You know, you sound like Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
You know, he's an
Alumni. He's an alumni.
alumni. And you're going to take his job probably sometime soon. You know, because he still nationally represents the Boys and Girls Club.
He does.
Would you like that role?
I would love to be just like Denzel Washington. He represents so many people and so many kids, and nationwide, it's phenomenal, like a life-changing opportunity.
Well, one of the things, Sheriff, Caitlin, you know, she does a very good job. I remember she was relatively new when you was here last.
Correct.
And you said you saw a bright future for her. Well, you asked her for something, and she gets it to you.
Right.
And I believe it's your project, the project that you put together, but it also incorporates in that project, and we're going to talk a little bit about that after we look at it, what you're doing, the department's doing with the community's youth. So let's take a look at the project.
My name is Lamuta Hawks. I'm 17 years old and I attend the Lee Worthington Boys and Girls Club. My father wasn't always around because his drug activity and the drug cartel he was in, he was arrested a couple of times, and my opinion and thought about the law enforcement wasn't too great. I hated them because every time I got close to my father, they just take him away. It just left my mom with like a single parent really, and then so that's how I came introduced to the Boys and Girls Club, and I've been here since I was 6 years old. So, and I'm 17 now, so it's been a long time. Recently, through the Boys and Girls Club, I was, they had a field trip to go to a Rockford Policing Strategy with the Sheriff's Department. Once I knew the sheriffs were hosting it, it's like, no, I'm definitely not going, because we're going to like where they are, like their home base or whatever, and a bunch of guys with guns, African-American male. This time, it's not a good mix together. But I was forced to go, and honestly, it was one of the greatest decisions ever. I'm glad that Mr. Nate Brown forced me to go, because it completely changed my whole look upon law enforcement.
When you move into these scenarios, you're not going to be who you typically are when you're out. You are going to change your mindset into being what you would think that a police officer would do in a particular situation. You have a gun on one hand and a taser on the other, and you have to make some split-second decisions.
Go. He goes this way, go to the left, and then circle right around.
Today, what we're doing is we are allowing some of our youth to experience the things that law enforcement goes through. It's a great thing because now they actually get to see and feel and experience everything that the officers go through from a day-to-day experience.
I'm going to take the gun out of your waistband.
Okay. Put this hand up here, because if he leans towards you, you can feel him. Now back up.
It makes it very real from the fact that they can get hurt. They have to make split-second decisions. They have to use their mind constantly, and not everything is the same. It may look the same on a traffic stop, but every traffic stop is different. And I think they learned that very quickly, putting them through the scenarios.
I'm gonna need you to step out.
I'll get out. I'm out. I'm out of my car. This is my property. You have no rightful law to be in my car.
This whole experience was a really great deal to me, and I believe to the other children as well, because it put us in the shoes of our own police officers, and we learned a lot because we were put in the same dangerous situations as them, and we see what they go through on a daily basis, whether it be the verbal abuse or the physical confrontations that they have.
This is actually one of the best field trips we've ever went on.
with the Boys and Girls Club. Like, I'm dead serious. We actually were a part of the field trip. Like, we actually got to engage and actually learn from another point of view.
I'll go in with them. Keep the guns up. You don't know who he is yet. Okay? There you go.
We want this to be ongoing. We have many, many kids in Sarasota County from the north to the south, and we really want to get students and young people talking about this, getting an understanding of what law enforcement really is.
And you're real good about being like, hey, man, we're here for a disturbance. We're going to find out what's going on. You said, hey, let me talk to you right away. You had me come outside. Great.
These are great kids that we're interacting with, and just going to make it better the next time they have contact if it's real world on the street. And the relationship is important. So we're going to see more of that as we continue this project over the next year.
I'm definitely going to have a bunch of my friends come and take the same class, and I hope they feel the same way that I do. Because this definitely changed my whole perspective on the entire training that they have to go through, everything. And I'm just great to be a part of it.
I didn't think it was going to have the impact that it did. I really didn't. I thought they would benefit from it. I thought they would see our side of what we do in law enforcement. But when you talk to them and you see some of their reactions, it was kind of a big eye-opener and life-changing to some of the kids that followed in the later sessions, for sure.
I really think this could help people open their eyes and maybe even teach kids a thing or two about law.
You know, this is brand new for me, and it really helped me grasp, like, everything that they really do go through.
When you're going through the scenarios, you going through the whole situation, you never know what you're going to do until you get into that situation. So I think this is very good for them, very good. It's really awesome for them.
The next step was bringing them into the community foundation here, where we all came together and we discussed. Dr. Sewell put up a lot of our objectives and the strategic plan on the board, and we just had kind of a group discussion from their perspectives. And traditionally, we've not, had a segment of the youth contribute to the strategic plan or to, a lot of the things that we do at the Sheriff's Office. So to bring them in at that level and give them a voice, and then be able for them to see what the product looks like in the end. They'll see some of the things that they brought up, topics that were discussed in the end. I think that'll reaffirm for them that we believe that it was important for them to come in and contribute.
You'll see some things as we go on. One is positive engagement with the youth of our community, because we listened to you the other day. We couldn't help but listen to you. She's got to be the best spokesman that Sheriff Knight could ever have doing something. You guys aren't bad either, okay? But, Sis is the one here.
First of all the members here, just a member of Keystone, that's a big jest, because you're part of a leadership club that's changing things in our community. So we're proud of that. A member of our Keystone Club is very important. And being partners with our local law enforcement is amazing. So as Almuda is becoming a great leader, Sheriff Knight's a great leader and his team, and we're just proud to be partners with all of you. And thank you for taking time out of your schedules tonight to be with us. And I just wanted to stop by and tell you how proud I am of you to being here tonight on a Friday night and making a difference in our community. So thank you all.
We wanted to get the officers together and then the BGC kids and just pick their brains to see what were their perspectives and what are their interpretations of the opposite side.
We have 4 different groups. I'm going to give you guys a question. You guys are going to collaborate and give an answer. Where do you get your perception of law enforcement from? Is it social media, TV, songs, personal experience, parents, family, friends, or pop culture?
The only time we really see a cop is when they're arresting somebody or something bad's happened. If they can be more active with us, like how you said, have them come to the club and they play with us, that'd be nice, because if we see them more at school and we sat down and talked to them, we get to see how they're human too.
Where do you get your perception of teenagers, and that's for the law enforcement?
When we go to a call, it's because somebody called about maybe a teenager or something like that. So now we're going to that house just because somebody called us and said they were doing something wrong. So that's our first perception.
We do like other people, because we're human, we somewhat categorize and just sort of group everyone in that, this is their generation, this is what they do, and then the music and the television somewhat supports that kind of behavior. So we just sort of make that assumption that that's just how it is. That's just how kids in general are. So I think it's more so our perception drawn upon from our own experiences through our work.
I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming out. It's been a great journey, and there's much more to come.
Me and Muta, we talk all the time saying how we're blessed to have you guys be a part of what we're trying to build in this community, and we're just thankful, and we look forward to the next step, which is the next rifle policing strategy.
Thank you guys as Keystone Club presidents for tackling this and working together, and not only just you guys having an idea, but getting for the groups to come and participate. Like we said earlier, I think that's amazing. I think we all need to be leaders, whether you're kids, whether you're from the group, whether it's your profession.
Right now, it's so important that we address the issue because it's so many incidents going around with just law enforcement and teenagers, especially African Americans. So I think it's something that we need to address, and it starts with the youth.
I think being able to see each other's perspectives is the most important thing, because if we can do that,
Absolutely.
We can always have a dialogue, and that doesn't mean we always have to agree, but at least we're sitting at this table having a conversation, as opposed to you're over there and I'm over there and we're not having any kind of dialogue at all.
Take a different point of views and everything.
And shake hands and walk away. Right. I'd like to see in some of the future rifle policing where we have a little more afterwards dialogue and get to hear your side of things. You're there obviously to see our side, but I think we could add some time to that and hear a little bit more about the reasons why maybe you have some of the feelings you do or the ideals that you do about law enforcement. That's important for us.
It's very promising to know that you can trust your local law enforcement and that they're all not bad. It doesn't explain a lot of things, but it gives you understanding.
Sometimes, cops get a bad rap, and sometimes the youth get a bad rap too. And one incident in the media gets blown out of proportion, and all kids are kind of painted with that brush and labeled. And it is, when you've had a day where you've dealt with kind of the bad side of the criminal justice system, and you get to sit down with Al Muda and have this kind of conversation, it kind of restores your faith in the youth and in folks in this community. It really kind of balances you out. I leave with every day this agency with a positive attitude because of kids like you. Seriously.
Thank you. Now that I have been on the other side to see what they go through on a daily basis, more understanding, definitely more understanding. I'm not so quick to judge them, because I know there's always more to the story. I challenge you guys to take the rifle policing strategy to their own community and just make it their own, twist it how they feel necessary in their communities. We all have different problems in our communities. Improve it. See if you can top Sarasota County's National Keystone Project.
Well, that's quite a tribute to both you and the sheriff. When you first heard that you were going to be doing this training, I'm calling it training, that exercise with law enforcement and the rest of the young folk, what did you think?
I wasn't so happy to go. I wanted to stay home, but I'm glad that I did go. I'm glad, because it totally changed my whole perspective about law enforcement.
Since there are many folk that's at your school who may not attend the Boys and Girls Club, but they realize what you all have been doing in this particular project, what do they ask you and what do you say to them?
Ask me, like, why did I do it? And I just told them just experience something new. Like, you never know, like, what's going to come out of it. So just, we're already there, so just make the best of it. And I just told them what we went through, my experience, other kids' experience, because we all have different point of views, and they're all roughly similar. So they all want to get involved.
So, well, Sheriff, it looks like the next one of these, what do you call them?
Rightful policing strategies, workshops.
Workshops. You won't have much problem getting youngsters to come.
Yeah, I think they're having fun with it. They're learning a lot, and we're excited because we really didn't know what to expect. And like Al said, the first time they came down and they come off the bus, it was all the deputies on one side of the parking lot, and it's kind of a square off at the OK Corral. And so there was a little bit of tension there, as it was to be expected. But with his leadership and a lot of the other kids there in that program, I think they're excited to come now, that they're not intimidated to come to our training facility and see the deputies and participate in these things. And they're wide open. Their minds, like Al's, is wide open. They want to learn. They want to see. But more importantly, I think what we might be missing a little bit, too, is the impact it's made on my employees and me. Is that we were resetting law enforcement. A lot going on in law enforcement the last couple, 3 years. And it's been huge emotionally for the employees who participate with these kids, is that I think it's really driving law enforcement back to what law enforcement was created for, to be part of the community, not the occupied community. And so we really getting drilled back into what our purpose is. And so it's been as emotionally rewarding, I can tell you, to me after 30 years, and to the employees that I work with. And I set the tone for them like Al does with the Boys and Girls Club. But it's been very emotionally rewarding, as I know it's been rewarding to the kids.
Absolutely.
Well, from where I sit, even if when the judges make all their decisions about the various projects, if you don't come in number one, somebody would have to have a heck of a project
Absolutely.
to bump you out of the spot.
Yeah. It's not all about just becoming number one. I mean, it is a plus if we do win. We get to share that message, but we can still share the message even if we're not number one. We can always send emails to other Boys and Girls Clubs. We can always do newscasts like this and get out to the whole community, and it can only go up.
Tell me, when you went to Chicago, who else was there?
It was me and 12 other kids from Sarasota County with our 4 advisors, and 3,500 other kids from nationwide. And we were all in Chicago, and we got to tour Chicago. We all signed up for different things to do. My group, we went to see Universal Technical Institution, so we saw the technical side of college, and it was a great experience. We got to interact with other club members from different points of the world, and we all have different problems in our different communities. And the thing about the Rightful Policing Strategy is that they can take this project and twist it how they want to twist it in our community. So we all have different problems in our community.
Sheriff, you mentioned that it was important for the officers to participate because everybody has their own ideas and what's going on. I'm sure when you first said you're introducing something called Rightful Police Strategies, they probably said, what's wrong with the sheriff?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it wasn't that they were doing anything wrong. We started training 2-hour blocks the year before because we knew we were taking it this route, so we wanted to expose them to what the philosophy was initially. But then also it was seeing is believing. You know, you talk a lot about the things you're going to do, but you got to do it then. And so we exposed them through 2-hour trainings. Then we started setting it up with the Boys and Girls Club. And it's really neat. I got to tell you, I am an emotional person at heart, and I kind of distanced myself away from it after the first time because my employees are so bought into it now from an emotional standpoint of the kids. And this is our youth. This is the millennials are coming. They're here, and they're our future. And we need them to have confidence that they can dial 911 and they're going to get the service they want out of us, not some opinion coming out there about who they are before we arrive. And so it's important to us to do it.
And I think it's also important that the youth can help teach their families, because it would be great if there was some kind of part of the rightful policing strategy where the department and full-fledged adults could get together in some manner, sit down across the table and have a cup of coffee or something.
I think we're learning a lot from kids, and you're exactly right. And when we had a group of pastors come in and talk to us, because we wanted to talk through about what is in their community, what do they need us to be doing better in their community, and somebody at that workshop or that conversation we had, she said, you know what, this is about getting to the kids, because we have our preconceived notions as adults. So we need to impact them first, and then they can have the impact on their elders, being a mentoring or the parent or whatever. So our goal is to hit as many of them as we can, with the hopes they bring the adults that they're around in to see us too, without that preconceived notion when they arrive at our training center. So yeah, it's kind of reverse of what we're used to as training our children. We're spending time with them. They'll be talking to the adults to get them to come see us.
Well, I know somebody out there in our viewing audience is probably saying, when will be the next strategy? Because they would probably like to have their children get involved. And the best way is through the Boys and Girls Clubs. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, the best ways the Boys and Girls Clubs are all through the county, from Northport to Venice to all the clubs in Sarasota. So we found them to be a great avenue. And we try to do it when school's out. Maybe they have a professional day and all the kids are at the clubs, and we get a bus from Sarasota County, and we go right to the club, pick them up, bring them to us. And the best part is while they're there, they have a little fun. They get to do what Al's doing, but then we get to eat a barbecue lunch with them and get a chance to sit around and just talk. And the relationship's important.
Well, I'd like to thank both of you for coming and sharing with our viewing audience. And before we go, I want to remind you that this afternoon from 3 to 5 at the St. Fine Arts Pavilion on the New College campus, there'll be a Newtown Alive panel discussion program about the Newtown community. And as always, have a great day, Suncoast.